All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to explore a story that's, well, it's pretty simple on the surface, but it's also incredibly powerful. It's all about kindness, perception, and a kind of harvest you can't always see. So let me ask you something. Can you actually measure a person's wealth in something as ordinary as, say, fruit? This story suggests that maybe, just maybe, you really can.
So, let me introduce you to our main character. His name is Josh, and he's a quiet fruit seller in a small mountain village. And he had this very peculiar habit, one that made everyone else think he was, well, kind of foolish.
So picture this. Every single day, it was the same routine. Josh would buy 2 baskets of fruit, always filled to the brim, just overflowing. And as he walked his route, fruit would, inevitably fall out. But here's the crazy part. He never, ever stopped to pick it up. And as you can probably guess, this just baffled the other vendors.
To his competitors, this was just sheer carelessness. I mean, they openly mocked him. They called him a terrible salesman for literally leaving his profits lying there on the ground. To them, it was just plain wasteful.
And this is really the heart of the story, isn't it? It's this huge gap between what people saw and what was really going on. The vendors saw a foolish show-off, somebody just wasting good money. But what was actually happening was a secret, carefully planned act of compassion. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain and find out the truth behind what Josh was doing. See, this wasn't about being a bad businessman at all. It was about a secret he felt was absolutely worth keeping. You see, the thing you have to understand about Josh is that he came from a very poor family. Growing up, he often only had one full meal a day. He never forgot what that felt like, being hungry. And that memory, it became the driving force behind everything he did. What Josh was practicing was just pure empathy. That's what it's called. He understood the struggles of other people because he'd lived through them himself. He could tell when a family was having a hard time, and he just felt this pull to help. And listen, we're not talking about a small gesture here. For years, Josh was secretly giving away nearly a quarter of all his profits. This daily loss was actually a significant, sustained act of generosity. And here's what was so brilliant about his method. He knew that people, even when they're struggling, have their pride. So by accidentally dropping the fruit, he let families just find it. They could take it without feeling the shame of accepting charity. It was a gift of both food and dignity. But you know how stories go. One day, everything just took a turn for the worse. Josh found himself in a really desperate situation, and he was forced to ask for help from the very people who misunderstood him the most. What happened was his wife, Jane, got incredibly sick. The doctor told him, look, she needs this major, life-saving operation, and she needs it now. But Josh, he just didn't have the money to pay for it. So he's desperate, right? He goes to the other fruit sellers to ask for a loan. And their response? Oh, it was just brutal. They scorned him. They basically said his foolishness and wastefulness were why he was in this mess in the first place. And it didn't stop there. Another one piled on, calling him a terrible businessman, refusing to risk a single penny on him. They just humiliated him right there in the middle of the market. So Josh, with his head down, just walked away. He had no money for the surgery, no hope. I mean, can you imagine? He felt absolutely, completely defeated. But this isn't the end of the story. This is the moment where everything turns around. Because just when all hope seemed lost, those seeds of kindness he had been planting for all those years, they were finally about to be harvested. So there's Josh, sitting by his wife's bed, probably grieving and thinking it's all over. And then he hears a knock at the door. At first he ignores it, but the knocking gets louder, more insistent, until he just has to go and answer it. And when he finally opens that door, he just can't believe his eyes. There's this huge crowd of people standing outside his home. And as he looks at their faces, he starts to recognize them. They were the people from the villages, the very ones who had been finding his fruit all those years. And what happened next is, well, it's just beautiful. An elderly woman, Helga, she steps forward, kneels down, and places a few dollars at his feet. She just smiles and gives his arm a little squeeze. And then the next person in line does the exact same thing. And the next. And the next. This quiet, powerful procession went on for almost an hour. And by the time they were done, that community, through all their small, heartfelt donations, had gathered enough money to pay for Jane's entire operation. His kindness had come right back to him, exactly when he needed it most. You see, that's the big reveal, isn't it?
Josh thought his actions were a total secret, but everyone knew. They had seen his compassion all along, and they never, ever forgot it. It just goes to show you, very few acts of kindness truly go unnoticed.
And it's worth mentioning who wrote this really moving modern-day parable. It's a story by Matt Friedman, who is the founder of the Mekong Club in Hong Kong, an organization that's actually dedicated to fighting human trafficking.
So that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about, for ourselves. Those small, maybe seemingly unnoticed acts of kindness that you put out into the world. What hidden harvest might be growing from them, for you, right now?